I don't know how familiar you are with the website, Shoebat.com. I don't know if you Googled it or anything like that.
Yeah. I Googled a little bit. Yeah, it's something, right? It's hard.
I don't think you've ever done.
Extreme and the other extreme, right?
Yeah, I don't think you've ever done an interview like this.
Yeah.
But that's fine. I'm glad that you came on, and it's good. We're recording now, so this is the interview. We're having a conversation.
Okay, good. Yeah, people on Twitter told me not to do it.
Oh, really?
They're like, why would I not do it? They say, maybe if they reach out, I think there's got to be something attached to it. You're always going to have to say yes.
I wonder what their reasons were.
Yeah, you never know.
Well, I remember you did a movie with Kirk Cameron, and a lot of people give you flack for that as well. But I've been a fan of yours for years, for a long time. Ever since I got in 2009, I got into martial arts and Taekwondo, and we did. My instructor was Taekwondo black belt and a competitor. He taught us kickboxing, and so I looked at your story and how your first art was Taekwondo.
Yeah.
And I really loved your style. Like you had a very straightforward, and I like your strategy. Like everything is full throttle. Nothing is a jab. Everything is a knockout punch.
That's it.
And I love that style, and I really try to emulate it.
It's like watching Ramon Dekkers. I don't know if you know him.
Yeah, Ramon Dekkers. Yes, very good style.
Incredible, and there was a guy I looked up to, and like Mike Tyson, and I started really looking at their styles and what do they do different? Why can't they hit so hard left and right?
Yeah.
And I realized it's the square stance. Once you move, you square yourself open, you're going to be a wider target for people. But that's the only downside.
Yeah.
This defense will automatically become better. You do it with your elbows, but everything else becomes better and stronger.
Yeah.
So why not?
And one thing that really inspired me was the way you did bag work, and the way Roman Dekkers does bag work. The way, every shot is just solid, but at the same time very crisp, very precise, and very, very, very explosive.
I was so proud when they inducted me in the Hall of Fame, the UFC did, and then you get all the stats. I never looked at stats. I never knew that I was 4 hours and 27 minutes fighting my entire career, and then I read that I have the highest striking accuracy till this day. It's like 70.6% of the power shots. And I always tell people, I say, I just like to punch when there's a target. I don't like to miss.
I remember watching your first fight. It was a Muay Thai fight. It was like an old video I found on YouTube. And the way you fought that guy was like vicious, straightforward, and you just kept on punching until you got the knockout.
Yeah.
And you were a lot thinner, too, which is interesting. You grew bigger, bulkier, more muscular as you got older.
As soon as my asthma got away, when that went away, I had these severe asthma attacks that keep me, from eating because I couldn't breathe. But once that started going away, I started building on muscle.
Muscle, yes. I wanted to ask you. So you grew up in Holland.
Yep.
And what was it like? What was your childhood like? Is Holland a country that is very martial? Is the culture very martial? I've always been interested in that. Is Dutch society open to fighting, or is it more like passive?
It's really weird. We have the best strikers on the planet. We were the first guys who went to Thailand and beat the Thais. And we were, just outside in the world, we were the ones that would fight with low kicks. You had a few champions here, but once they would come into the territory of the Dutch with the low kicks, they had a problem. I think the Dutch were the first ones to combine the hands and the legs. Like in Thailand, they were still kicking.
It was like Taekwondo.
Yeah? It
was like Taekwondo.
Like Taekwondo, back and forth. And then like a guy like Samart, when he came around, who became also a WBC champion boxing, they started looking, and then Ramon Dekkers came in, and they started destroying people. And the early days also, you had Milo El Goebli, Rob Kaman, all these guys from Majiro Gym. They went there. We had a show one time in Holland, and I always went to these shows. And there was one night, 4 champions from Thailand were there, and they were going to fight for the title against 4 guys from Holland. And it was live streamed to Thailand. They all got knocked out.
Yeah.
It was the best night ever.
One thing I love about Holland, other than the fighters, is kroketjes. And I really love kroketjes.
You know what? We're just making here, my wife and I was just rolling them, bitterballen, which it's the same as kroketjes, only they're little round.
It's like a meatball.
Yeah, but it's the same as exactly the same inside as a croquette.
I watched your video making croquettes, I said I need to make this. So I actually made it for the first time, and it came out pretty good. I mimicked you almost the same with the flour and the wheat. It was very fattening, but very tasty.
It's very good.
Yeah, it's very hearty.
Also with cheese, you can make them cheese croquettes. They're really good too.
I like the simple, just the stew, the roux, and the meat and the flour.
Yeah.
Especially the next day, they taste better.
It's funny how that goes, right?
Yeah.
Simple as Dutch food as well. Dutch food is so simple, and they try to mix everything together. You got potatoes, you got carrots.
Yeah.
Hey, let's put it all together. Blah, 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 mash it up, and then you put on the side steak or balls of how you call them, meatballs. Anything you want to eat with it, you use applesauce. It's a really good combination. Plus, it's really healthy for you.
Before I get into the other questions, this is something I've always wanted to learn about your style. When you trained in Taekwondo, what was the style of Taekwondo? Was it WTF? Was it ITF? Was it like a old school?
It was the WTF, and later on, I went to a Wim Vlieger. He was that's where I got my 2nd degree black belt. He was like a 6th degree.
Yeah.
And so that was the style. I was very fortunate with having a good teacher. My first teacher was a really good Taekwondo guy who could kick hard.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying that Taekwondo guys don't kick hard, because I got a friend of mine who is just insane. He's as fast almost with his feet as I am with my hands. And he throws these fake things out, but then suddenly there's a really hard one. He mixes them up. He's a really unbelievable guy. And but normally in Taekwondo, because there's double kicks and triple kicks, you don't really throw your hips in. And he was against that. He was actually a guy who competed in Taekwondo, but then every time he got barred from the competition because he would hit the guy for real.
Punch him,
Man, I need to do something else. And that's why I was lucky to have him as a coach. So he kept that powerful striking in. But it was already in the beginning. It was Taekwondo. I realized, hey, wait a minute, there's no low kicks. Let's do karate. Did karate on the side. That's with low kicks. And now we can do knees to the body. But there's still no punches to the head. Okay, let's do Thai boxing.
Yeah,
you see, I did everything simultaneously.
Yeah, I was also fortunate to have a good instructor. He was a 6th degree black belt and emphasized a lot on the hands, a lot on power kicking and things like that. One of the most painful experiences I've ever had was fighting with him, and him giving me a spinning kick to the ribs, to the liver.
To the liver.
My
first knockout. I went down my first class Thai boxing with somebody with a liver shot.
And then I Googled liver, and I found more stuff from you. Emphasis on the liver, like punching. So I began to focus a lot like body shot, like punching to the solar plexus and kicking to the ribs.
It is so effective.
Super effective.
Everybody goes for the head.
Yeah. And what I would do is I would wait for the guy to punch, and then I would throw a kick to the ribs.
There you go.
You just knock them.
And if you keep doing it, suddenly you look low and then you hit high. So it looks like
head
you
kicks.
give another liver shot, but you hit high.
But I wanted to get into something. Speaking with Dutch culture, Holland has a very fascinating history, and it has a very warrior history. There's a lot of wars that the Dutch fought in back in the day. Yeah. There was like numerous wars. I think one of them that I read about was the 30 Years' War back in the 1600s or something like that.
Oh wow!
Yeah, a lot of wars. But I wanted to ask you, and I don't think anyone's ever asked you this in interviews. So I may be the first. But are you a man of faith?
Yes, I am.
So I remember, I follow you on Facebook. I remember not too long ago you talked about Jesus Christ and the Easter.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm a full-on Catholic. And I actually recently got back into that, like recently 2 years ago.
Really?
Yeah.
Fascinating.
I was born a Catholic. I was baptized. I did my communion. I did everything. But then, I sat in on this. Kevin James is a good friend of mine, and we were shooting this movie, and he had some really good priests coming to the set, actually. And one was giving a conference about life, how how the world started to exist. And I thought, hey, that's interesting, and I jumped in there, and it blew my mind. So
really?
The next day I was in the next one, I go, dude, this is so crazy.
Wow.
I had no clue. And once you really start going into that, you realize, well, and my difference was not as crazy as all the other ones. I would say, I always thought, there's something that controls us, but I think that aliens have put us on the planet as kind of an experiment.
I've heard that before.
I always thought. But then once you get into everything, you realize that alien, well, it's God.
Yeah.
Somebody designed us.
Somebody designed. So tell me, when I didn't know this. So you were on the set with Kevin James, and you were finding out this information. What type of things were you hearing that made your mind click, that ignited that spark in your soul?
Well, there's a lot of stuff. First of all, I really liked an example that the guy gave, a speaker. He said, imagine you have a periscope and you can look on another planet which is like 20 light years away. For some reason, we don't know why, you can watch what's happening right there. And you see this whole pile of rubbish. You think it's rubbish. And you're looking at it and you're staring at it, and suddenly you see a light going through it, like a blue light. Mm-hmm. And I go, whoa, that was weird. And then you keep looking, so there's a red light, and it has a different pattern. And it keeps going. And then you go like, wow. Now imagine you sit there and you constantly, you're recording every little thing that you're seeing, and you realize that after a month or after maybe 2 months, the whole pattern repeats itself. Mm-hmm. So now there's intelligence there, because it's a repetitive thing.
Right.
Now, that is DNA. Mm-hmm. DNA is pretty much what he just described. All these building blocks. I mean, Anthony Flew, the biggest atheist ever, once they started going into the DNA, it go like, okay, we're the only ones who can do this. There's no other animal can do things like us. No, we can teach them things, but we really don't dive deep into that. So, and that started it, and that does help also. I talked with Father Ripperger. Father Ripperger is one of the biggest.
I know of him. Yeah, I've never met him, but I know of him. He's an exorcist. Yeah.
Yeah, and the stories you hear then, it's a very scary thing. Like we would say, you say, is that true with the faces that they change? He says, oh, that's 95% of the time. Mm-hmm. Like it's totally normal. Right. This guy did over 8,000 exorcisms, and you go like, whoa, what? Yeah. And then he starts. When you hear stories from him, you go like, okay, when there is bad, and the way they drive him out is with good, there's got to be that balance, and that's it. I just got into it, and all these crazy things, the Guadalupe thing, and
the Virgin of Guadalupe.
You hear, the 2,000 years ago in the Book of the Hindu. I don't know if you probably know this as well. The coming of Christ was predicted 2,000 years before Christ.
Oh yeah.
They started looking in there, and the similarities are insane. It's like a man will become a god, will become a man, will be born of a virgin. He will be bound on a stake. His feet and hands would be pierced, but his bones would not be broken. He would wear a crown of thorns. This goes on and on. The 7 exact points, 2,000 years before Christ came. It's just undeniable. You go like, no, it has to be.
It's very profound.
Yeah,
it's extremely profound, and I'm glad that you got back to your Catholic faith, because my father was born Muslim. Yep. He became Christian. And then what happened is I began to read the church fathers and the history of Christianity, and I became Catholic. So when I read that on your Facebook, I was like, he must be a Catholic. He's got to be Catholic, because you talked about going to Mass. And
and today actually I posted Saint Sebastian Day. It's a feast day.
And that's your name.
My name is Sebastian. So I posted it. And right away, of course, people, there's always these people.
They get pissed off.
Yeah, but it's like when somebody's an atheist and he's making a comment. Do you think I go on his Facebook and I reply and I go, "Oh, so stupid, you don't believe"?
Yeah, right.
Why do they feel the need to do that? Let me be. I like green, you like blue. I mean, whatever, dude. Everybody's happy.
And when I began to study in depth, because I've always been aware of Christianity, but when I began to really study in depth in Christianity, it was back in 2010. And I began to read all these books, and I began to read the Bible and all that, Augustine and all these saints and all their literature. And I began to realize, Christianity is a war. And people always like to reduce Christianity to something that is part of your social life. You go to these churches, not Catholic, but a lot of like these evangelical churches, non-denominational, that they're like Starbucks churches,
Yeah, it's at 34,000 now.
Yeah, and it's all like feel good, and it's a part of their life. But when you actually really dig deep into it, and you read the words of Jesus, it's all war. It's a spiritual war, but at the same time, that spiritual war translates into the physical. Mm-hmm. And so when you look at Jesus Christ, when he says, deny yourself, pick up your cross and follow me. And also in one of the epistles of John says Christ came to destroy the works of the devil. That's the reason why Christ came. When you see Jesus Christ on the cross, when you think about it, when you see him in the icons, it's a war against evil. against the devil.
It is.
And so, you being a martial artist, I remember watching a video of you years ago when I first began looking at your fights. There's a video where you're kind of like in this contemplative stance as you were walking to the ring. Your hands are in this prayer posture. I'm thinking, was he praying, or did faith ever play a role with you as a martial artist?
You know, what happened was, like I said, I always been feeling that I've been watched and there is somebody, you know, I always had that. But what happened with the fighting is that a very good friend of mine, we lost him early. He got in a car accident after my second fight. And my first 2 fights I won in Pancras. And he told me, he says, dude, I feel it. You are going to be a world champion at this. I have a lot to learn. I got lucky twice now. Mm-hmm. They're probably going to take me down the next time, and then I'm going to lose, which actually what happened. You know, but he was so enthusiastic, and he said, yeah, man, you know you're going to be the champion. So every time when I go in, and I pray, that was to him. When I go up with my hand, that was also to him. Mm-hmm. His name was Jan. He, very bad weather, wrapped his Porsche around a tree. Impossible.
So you were always a spiritual person.
Yeah. No, I always been that. I know that there's something. Everybody knows that.
Absolutely. That's why the atheists are so angry, because they know something is there, but they just...
You know, that's exactly what I said today. I say, why would they feel the need to constantly go in the attack? And I say, I know why it is. Because they're doubting themselves, and they think as long as they say it, you know, it's like these people who shout a lot, oh, I'm a tough guy, oh, I'm a tough guy. You're not the tough guy, trust me, because you don't need to shout. And I think that's exactly the same here.
Yes.
They need to express their feelings, because the more I say it, the more I believe myself. And now, you know, I'm right. You know, who cares, dude? If you don't believe it, I always say that this. Imagine there's I'm a believer. That's it. I've got my faith. But imagine that they say, okay, so you know there's a heaven. No, but do you know there's a heaven? No. Nobody can prove there is a heaven, or not can prove there's not a heaven. What I've seen, I know there is a heaven. But what if there's a chance, 1 in a million, there's a chance that there's a heaven? Tell it to an atheist. Now, we're on this planet for 80 years. The rest after this is a test for us. How we conduct ourselves, we're going to see if we're going to go to heaven or not. Now, heaven is going to be forever. Hell is going to be forever. We got purgatory in between. So, you know, forever... 80 years now, you know, even if the chance, if I wouldn't be not a believer, 1 in a million, I would take that chance, because that means that there is a chance. Because if I'm wrong, I'm going to be. And what do I need to live for? I just need to live like a good person. Mm-hmm. I just have to be a good person. So even if it would not be true, I would still have lived a great life and did a lot of charity and helped a lot of people. So what is there to lose? That's my question.
And you know, you talk about the person who's always shouting. He's trying to compensate for his own weakness. And it reminds me of one guy, and I know you know about this person very well, Theodore Shoebat. You interviewed him. Very quiet.
Yeah. He knows, you know.
Because he knows.
He doesn't need to do anything.
But
he knows he can kick your butt.
Right. But he's also very vocal about his faith.
Yep.
Yeah, very religious man.
Yep.
And also Yoel Romero. Was a UFC. He knocked out Lyoto Machida. I remember watching him knock out Lyoto Machida, and then he said something about Jesus Christ after the fight, and it became very controversial. Very controversial.
Now he's got a problem because he's caught with steroids, right, last week. So now we had guys like Tim Kennedy, everybody who fought him said, hey, did Jesus tell you to use steroids? You know, so everything is starting to backfire for him right now.
Well, that's too bad. But do you think that it's a good thing? Do you think that it's beneficial that fighters express their faith in the stage or in the ring?
Yeah, I really think it is. You know, the thing is this: everybody's too busy nowadays on their phones, on their computers. Everything costs time. Nobody wants to make time. They don't know anything about the faith, but they just repeat what everybody says. Oh, there's pedophiles, this, that. They all have the same word. But nobody really dives into it.
Right.
You know, and once you dive into it, then you realize, you go, okay, that's good. But you're going to be ridiculed, like the post I just made. People right away attack, oh, laugh out loud, believers, stupid. You know, I go, well, but that's the way they react. So if you're ready for that, if you have a thick skin, I would say bring it out there. We pull more people to the good side, especially in these times. We're going to need
absolutely.
it.
Do you know in my journey to Catholicism, one thing that I noticed a lot about Catholicism is that there are so many wars that are fought within Catholic history. And I remember for years people telling me, well, the bad thing about the Catholic Church is that they fought in a lot of wars, like the Crusades, the Reconquista, the conquest of Mexico, of Latin America. And I began to study these wars myself, and I began to read the first-hand account. So instead of reading like modern-day books about the Crusades, I began to read books by knights and by crusaders. And I'm thinking, these guys were badasses.
They were just defending the faith. They were taken up. It was already at that time, it was the problem with the Muslims, right?
With the Muslims, Yes.
So it's such a shame what the world is going through right now. It's such a shame that there's the extreme, extremists. I feel, they always have been hand in hand together, even in Egypt in the early days. I mean, in Egypt, when they were on that square, everybody was praying. When the Muslims were praying,
in Cairo,
Christians were guarding them so the police couldn't come there, and the other way around. I mean, everybody was hand in hand. And I go, now a few guys come and they pick out all the bad stuff, and they try to convince everybody that it's good to kill. And then I go, well, look at the first 10 commandments. It starts pretty much with that.
Thou shalt not murder.
Yeah.
But I began to realize that Christianity is like, it's not a bad thing that it has these wars. Like when you read, for example, you mentioned the Virgin of Guadalupe, right?
Yeah.
And the amazing miracle and the profundity behind that. But then you read about, what first came into Mexico to break the pagan defenses down were the conquistadors. These were righteous Catholic men. These were guys who were very, very strong in their faith. They went in there and they defeated these pagans who were like committing human sacrifices. They were cannibals. They were doing all sorts of evil things. And when the Indians came, by the time Cortez came to the major city in Mexico, there was like 200,000 indigenous people on the side of the Catholics to fight the oppressive Aztecs. And so the faith, I mean, I think fighting for the faith is a good thing at times. It needs to be though.
Yeah, but it depends. As long as it's clear to everybody what is the real one.
Right.
I'm just a real easy guy, man. Live and let live. Everybody have a good time. But I don't get it. I don't get it that people actually can think that by killing people that they are going to go to heaven. I don't get that.
Yeah, but I remember people telling me that martial arts, like there's a conflict between fighting and Christianity, but when you read the Bible, there's a verse in there in Genesis that says that Abraham had his trained men. So there is no conflict between martial arts and Christianity. There is no conflict between fighting for what is right and the faith. In fact, I would say they go hand in hand.
Yeah, but also if you read the Quran, I mean, Jesus is mentioned a lot of times.
Yeah.
And he's a really great person. Miriam has her own chapter in the Quran. I mean, she's the only woman. Muhammad actually calls her the best woman ever lived. I mean, and now with the killing of Christians, what they're doing, you go like, well, wait a minute. He performed miracles. He was talking when he was in his crib. I mean, it's all in there. They thought he was this great guy, but now all the people that believe in him, they're killing. That's something that doesn't click with me.
Well, let me explain to you from someone who comes from a Muslim background. Islam is it's like you have these different, like you have Catholicism, the Catholic Church, which is the first, but then you have all these different groups that broke off, like the Protestant, the Baptist. Well, Islam, you can kind of call it that. It was a group of people originally that started out as a sect in the 5th century. It started out in the 6th century actually, and it started out as a group that was founded in order to combat Catholic doctrine, because it rejects the divinity of Christ, that Jesus Christ is divine. He is very God, very man. It denies that. So yes, it has these good things said about Jesus, but it has the false interpretation of who Jesus is. Oh, wow. And so what you see going on in Egypt, or what you see going on in Syria or in Iraq or in the Philippines, because they have a lot of problems there as well with this, is really it's part of a theological disagreement. You guys believe that Jesus is God. We don't. You guys are infidels. You guys are idolaters. You guys worship a man. How could you worship a man? So,
but he was the only guy who performed miracles, right? It also says that he went to heaven. Everybody. I mean,
well, I would love to see Bas Rutten tell the Muslim people that. I think they need that. Maybe this is the reason, because a lot of people, hundreds of thousands, we get millions of readers every month for Shoebat.com. We have a very big website, and so people would love to hear your perspective on faith and religion and what needs to be done. What do you're a man of faith. You believe in prophecy. Of course, you believe in prophecy.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
What do you think is going to happen in the future? You think there's going to be a great war? Jesus Christ is going to come down? He's going to lead an army?
No. I truly believe, for what I do with the statistics and everything, I think the youth. I have fully faith in the Muslim youth. Mm-hmm. I think everything still under 30, that was, believe a number that they gave me, they are, they really want to have a life. A lot of them, for instance, outside these countries, when there's no job, they cannot marry, because their parents, of course, from the woman, from the girl, they're not going to let them marry somebody who doesn't have a job. And apparently the unemployment rate is really high there. Trust me, they're hungry for that. They want to be working. They want to do things. They want to marry. They want to get kids. And I'm hoping that is going to be the answer, that they're going to start changing. I think once it goes out there, also the internet, it gets bigger and bigger. People have more access to it. And once they see, wait a minute, it's not really like that. Mm-hmm. These are actually really good people there. Mm-hmm. Listen, I came from Holland and I moved to America. My mom and dad, when they came here for the first year, they were afraid to go to America. And why? Because, there's people getting shot on the street. They're going to kill it. They heard only the bad things. It's their favorite country now. They love this country. Mm-hmm. And you have that with everybody who comes into the country. You go like, whoa. This is a whole different thing than I thought. Yeah. This is actually really nice here. So I hope really that the youth, that all the new group that's going to come up, that they're going to change and they're going to be lenient. They're going to say, hey, let's go back to where we were. Let's put it all together. I
think there's truth to what you say. There are Muslim youths who are that way, but at the same time, I'm not as optimistic as you are.
Yeah.
Because you look at the Islamization of like Turkey and all the Muslim world, it's huge.
Yep.
I mean, it's huge. It's very dangerous.
Yep.
But anyway, what's that?
It's a shame. It's such a shame. It's so the things that happen. If like the girl in Holland, a girl gets raped and then they get killed by the parents.
Yeah.
Well, why would you do that? And this happens in Holland.
It happens in Holland,
yeah. A lot of people go like, whoa, your own kid. Yeah, no, it's a disgrace. That's their belief.
What do you think about? Go ahead. You were going to say something.
No, I would like to see things like that changed.
We would all like to see peace, but it's just never the case. You know that. I mean, the reason why you became a martial artist is because you were getting bullied.
Yeah.
And you wanted to train. You had to fight. That's why I did martial arts. I did it for the same reason.
Yeah. No, it's always there. Evil is always there. It's what the people say with the church when they go, all these the priests with the kids. I go like, dude, that's not the church. Those are people. It's like Judas, one of the 12, was already a traitor.
Yeah.
It's not like that's just the way it is. People, it's like if you have in your family member a murderer. Now suddenly you're a bad person because your family member is a murderer, but that's how people are.
Right.
People say all cops they like to kill black people, and I go, whoa, relax, man. All military, they kill kids.
Yeah.
There's all these standards. All the lawyers are liars.
Right.
I mean, it's just because a few don't.
Or the Dutch are cheap, right? Like they say, go Dutch. They say go Dutch.
Yes.
The stereotype that Dutch are cheap.
Which which one?
In America, like when you go to a restaurant, they say, let's split the bill. It's called going Dutch.
Yeah, but that's that's they make that up because in Holland it's not like that. In Holland, when you go to a party, for instance, you never pay. When I went to America here and I was invited to a party, you bring a present and then you have to pay at the party. You have to pay for your drinks. And I go and everybody says going Dutch.
Yeah.
That won't happen in Holland. You go to a party, you will never pay.
Well, you brought up the idea, like the problem in Holland where like girls are getting raped and things like that. Like, what is your opinion? Because a lot of people are talking about this controversy with the refugee problem in Europe. Like all this inundation of Muslim Islamic refugees coming into Holland, Germany, basically Western Europe, pretty much Western Europe. What is your opinion on that? Do you think that it's bad?
I think it needs to be people need to help people. That's why we're on this planet. That's an important thing. The unfortunate thing that happens with it is that a lot of bad people are coming with them.
Yeah.
You know, so they need the screen test and everything. And if you look at people, why not make a safe zone there? You know, make it so that you can control this more. Because right now, you know, yeah, a lot of people will come in who don't deserve it. But the people who do deserve it, you know, like in Holland, my parents are very close to a place where they have a lot of refugees, you know. Everybody's really nice people. There's no problems, no nothing, you know. But the ones that wander off, that's suddenly away out of the camp, well, they were probably the bad ones. Yeah, they start doing things. But that's, again, it's a small percentage. You cannot judge everybody. Is it dangerous that they come in? Yes, it's dangerous. What are you going to do? You're not going to help these people? Of course you need to help these people.
Yeah, I read on the news that a lot of Christian people are trying to come into Europe alongside the refugees, but a lot of them suffer as a result of this. Because the other refugees say, well, you have to convert to Islam if you want to be in the refugee camp, and they don't want to, and they throw them out of the camp. And that's a reality.
Yeah, that's not cool. That's, you know, these things are always very hard for me to. I just don't get it. It's almost like looking for things now. You know, I mean, just let's go along. You know what the cool thing is always when there's a movie like Independence Day, you know, and these aliens come and then suddenly, if that would really happen, if something like that would be out there, which I don't think, there's no aliens, I don't believe in that. I believe in us from the future. That's why I believe in. But if that would happen, the whole world will be united in order to beat them.
Right.
And then I go, well, you know that's going to happen if it really would happen. So if you know that, why just go along with everybody?
Yeah, but we know that it's never going to happen.
It's never going to happen.
It's never going to. But okay, I wanted to ask. I know you're a busy guy, so I don't want to keep you waiting. I wanted to ask you one more thing. Well, this is the most profound topic, I think. And who to you is Jesus Christ? Because when you read in the Gospels, Jesus is talking about always fighting the devil, fighting yourself, denying yourself. And there really is this, for example, like in the Middle Ages, the Catholic Church had the Templars. These were basically warrior monks. They intertwined faith with martiality, with militarism. And then you look at, for example, into Russia, like in the medieval Russia, they had warrior monks. So they intertwined the teachings of Jesus of self-denial and self-sacrifice. So Jesus Christ died on the cross in war, therefore we as well will pick up our cross in fighting against evil, even at the expense of our own lives. So in that context, like, who to you is Jesus? As a martial artist, who to you is Jesus Christ? Do you familiarize with him as a martial artist at all?
No, I you know, just be that person. I mean, the way he deflects everything, and you know, he got one time angry, right? When they were selling stuff there
in the temple, yeah.
Temple, but that was also, you know, I go to these groups also, and then there's maybe one or two times in your life that there's a moment that you could be angry. They're really angry. For the rest, it's all the anger is fake. All these things that I started doing because, you know, of who Jesus is, it made my life so much more comfortable. Everything. Like literally people cut me up, I go, I can't control him. You know, it's what it is. I can shout about it, it's not going to make any difference. It's going to be, you know, and then, you know, once you start reading like that, and once you start reading Matthew, what is it? Matthew 7, 1-5, that one, once I read that, I go, whoa, like, you try to pick a little piece of wood out of somebody's eye.
Yeah.
But in your own eye, you got the biggest beam. So get rid of that first before, you know, and that applies to everybody.
Yeah.
That is, these people are the keyboard warriors. That is, you know, and that opened my eyes. I go like, wow, it is true. You know, every time you say something or you want to say something bad about a person, it's always a reflection on you. You go like, whoa. And, you know, once people start getting there, the problem is that people think, oh, you know, I looked it up. It's 168 hours a week. 1 hour they ask to go to church. Is that really a big thing? No, but everybody wants to be on their phone. They have no time for anything. Or they come close to death, you know, or a kid might die. Now suddenly they're very religious, you know, or you're an atheist and you come close to dying.
Yeah.
They say 90-95% they all change their faith, you know, just before they go. Because what if there is that chance? You see what I mean? but just living like he did, and I think that would bring peace in the world. But I'm one of those how you say it,
optimists.
The miss.
You're
contest.
Mystical.
They all know the Miss contest, you know.
Oh, the beauty pageant.
World peace. That's what I and I'm a fighter, and I like everything, and I like to fight, you know. And I like that if it's a bad person, he does something, I'll beat him up, you know. It's not like I'm not like Jesus who steers away from it. If there's evil, I go into it. But
no, Jesus was a fighter. There's no doubt about that.
Oh, he's the toughest guy ever.
Yeah, he stayed in the temple all the way till the evening time and beat people up with a whip.
It's amazing, you know. If you look also, you know, if you rewatch the Passion, you know,
Passion of the Christ,
that movie, you go, Gibson did a really good job with that. You know, all these little details, and the devil walks on the other side, and when the cross falls, but he's floating above the wall. All these little things that they put in, it's pretty amazing. That's why sometimes, you know, when people are shouting so against it, you go like, why don't you read 10 minutes a day on it, and then in a year or in half a year you decide again. You can scream all you want, and I think a lot of people will open their eyes. Yeah,
it's amazing when people say, well, I'm an atheist because if God existed, why would he allow all of these bad things to happen? I'm sure you've heard that before. Yeah. But what's weird is you make an interesting point, like when they get really close to death, they become religious. Or when they have like a near-death experience, they become religious. Or when they go to war, people tend to become religious.
Yeah.
So there definitely is a connection between death, fighting, warfare, and spirituality. Like people have near-death experiences, and they say, I've heard one guy tell me who got shot and almost died, and he said, in that moment I felt as though I was born again because I saw death and escaped it.
Listen,
it's very impactful.
GloriaPolo.com. Did you hear of her also?
No, I haven't.
Okay, that's a badass one. It's a woman who got struck by a lightning. Her whole half breast, everything off, you know. I mean, near that experience, and she went to hell actually.
Wow.
And came back. And she did abortions, she did all that, you know. She's bad, and she knows it was bad. It was all happy, and everybody was nice, and and she saw the family, everybody was good, and slowly but surely it started getting weirder and weirder. Yeah. Suddenly she's in full-blown hell. And she came back. And that's a pretty amazing story. GloriaPolo.com, check that out. You go like, whoa, this is deep. And stories like that are so many out there. Mm-hmm. There's also stories, you know, with people who have the out-of-body experience, and then of course, the scientists say, yeah, but you know, that's a chemical in the brain that does this.
Right.
No, there's people who actually float to the other side of the room. They know exactly what these people are saying there. Mm-hmm. Or nowadays, what they have even in the operating room, they have these signs on top of the lights, like a circle, a square, and a triangle. And people who say that an out-of-body experience, they can actually recite back. They say, actually, I saw a square and a circle on top of the lights. So it is. You go out of body. There is a soul. But the body animates the soul. Once that goes away, that's it. That's the proof for me, man. And there's thousands, hundreds of thousands of stories like that.
You know, I remember reading a book, a guy he technically died in the hospital, and then he said, on the roof of the hospital there's a shoe, and he gave the position, and they went up there and there was a shoe. How did you know? He says, well, I floated above the building.
Yeah, I read this guy who had the neighbors had a baby, and apparently he died. He went to the other house, and he could communicate with the baby. He had no clue why that was possible. And he says, why are you crying so much? And he says, my arm is broke. And the guy shoots back into he didn't even know the neighbors. He knew the neighbors, but he was not visiting all the time. And when he came back out of his body, he goes, your baby, I talked to him, so people think he's crazy. Mm-hmm. But he has a broken arm. But they did an x-ray, he had a broken arm. And for some reason, they broke a bone, and they fixed it, and that was done. So things like that are really powerful to me.
You know, speaking of babies, and you brought up abortion. When people say, "Oh, I believe in abortion and all that," I always tell them, "Well, it seems to me, well, from my own observation, that all the people who support abortion have already been born."
Yeah. Well, you know, I heard I heard a really bad one though. This is my daughter saying. I don't know if this is true, but they heard that in school. They said that the mother from Hitler wanted to do an abortion, but the last minute she decided not to do it. And then you go like, oh, dude, that is so scary, you know. So And also they say, what if that person that you want to abort becomes the person who finds a cure for AIDS or a cure for cancer? You never know. It's all there for a reason. I wouldn't mess with that.
I wouldn't mess with it either. People say, well, how come we haven't found a cure for cancer? Well, maybe because you've killed the guy who was going to find the cure.
It's very possible.
Yeah. Or maybe could you imagine if we lost you with an abortion, we wouldn't have Bas Rutten?
Hey, no liver shot?
That liver, it would suck, man. One of the greatest personalities in martial arts. And but I wanted to get, I know you're running out of time, but I wanted to get into one thing with you. Like, your style was very straightforward, very hard, very explosive. But then you look at a style like that of Machida's, very linear, very defensive, and he worked for a while, but it looked like people figured out his style and broke his puzzle. Would you have the same observation?
Yeah, no, I do. You see that every time with somebody, if they keep the same style, you have that. You have a Miracle Crow Cup, you have, everybody, you got a strong left kick, let's move to the left. Yeah. That's how you shut it down. The first guy, Gonzaga, when he fought Crow Cup, he was throwing the right hand every time in front of his face. He didn't even connect. And I'm going like, why would he do that? And then I go, dude, that's the smartest thing ever. Because if you give him the illusion that every time you throw a straight punch in front of his face, he's not going to kick you. Because if he kicks you, he needs to come closer, and you're going to catch him with that straight punch. Yeah. So unknowingly, just by throwing that punch every 15, 20 seconds, he totally shut down the whole game plan for Miracle Crow Cup with the left kick. And if that happens to a fighter, that's the moment you're going to have to change. And if you don't change, well, you'll figure it out now.
And the other thing I wanted to bring up with you, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not a professional fighter, I've never been a professional fighter, but correct me if I'm wrong. When UFC first began, when MMA first began, it was like people had boxing, BJ. Well, in the beginning, you had all these different people come in with all these different styles, right? Like, and then Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu dominated everyone. Karate, boxing dominated everybody. So then people began to adapt. So they made like a hybrid. So it seems to me that when UFC first began,
the wrestlers came in and they start stopping the takedowns.
The wrestlers, yeah.
And that blew the whole jiu-jitsu game out of the water. Because if they cannot bring him to the ground, that's going to be a problem.
That's true, too. Yeah. But it seemed like to me, like in the beginning of UFC, maybe in your time, like guys like Randy Couture, there was this hybrid style that remained the standard for a while. That was like your boxing, your Muay Thai, your BJJ, your wrestling. Yep. But do you get the feeling and do you get the impression that is beginning to change in the sense that is now in the future that no longer is going to be the standard? Because now you see guys like Conor McGregor, you saw guys like Machida, you saw, I forgot his name, Petiti. He was the guy who jumped on the wall. He jumped on the cage and then did this amazing kick.
Anthony Pettis.
Yeah, and you see this now, this new, also like GSP and Anderson Silva, you see this new hybrid form that's coming out, where you have your boxing, your Muay Thai, your BJJ, and your wrestling, but then you have this addition of Taekwondo and karate. Do you see it the same way? And
it's most of the time when you see guys who come from a traditional background, like a karate or a Taekwondo, honor everything, it's easier for them to learn certain things. That's what I always think, because it's a military style, At this time it's always you do whatever you want to do. But right now I think that MMA became its own sport. Now you go to a gym and the teacher there probably can teach you everything. Mm-hmm. Not that I'm saying that he can teach you everything 100% correctly. There will always be this feeling. It's like Jose Aldo is really good on the ground. He never uses it, likes to knock the people out. There's always that thing that you prefer. The thing that I switched in the beginning is I really like to strike, and I know it was my downfall. So I totally flipped that.
Yeah.
3 days a week, 3 times a week, I would do striking, and 12 or 13 times a week I would do
grappling.
And once I made that decision, I never lost a fight anymore. But that was early on, because they didn't really get it. So I was really fortunate that I was a really good striker, and I was really good on the ground. So I never attempted a single takedown. That was also in the stats from the Hall of Fame. Mm-hmm. I never attempted a takedown.
I noticed that about you.
I had 15 submission victories.
Yeah.
So that means they took me down, and then I would submit him. But so it's right now it's his own sport. You can go to a gym, and soon enough, in 5 years, then we're going to get hybrid coaches as well, like real hybrid coaches. Yeah. Now you still have a few guys put together, striking with him, ground with him, this with him. But those coaches are coming also because the fighters are there. Now the coaches are going to do it as well.
But do you think this new hybrid in which wrestling, BJJ, boxing intermixed with Taekwondo and Karate, do you think that hybrid is going to dominate the whole sport and everyone's going to have to adapt and learn your spinning kicks and your spinning hook kicks and your spinning back fists and all that stuff?
It's doing the unexpected. That's what Pettis, when he walked up the cage, nobody ever saw that.
No one ever saw that.
There's a fence behind you, you kick against the fence and it propels you forward and you knock people out.
Yeah.
I mean, you see this all over the place. In Holland we had I can't get his name right now. I'll pop up.
Oh, Andy Hug? He wasn't from Holland, he was from Switzerland.
A really good strike. He was the striker coach. He was also, I'll pop up. What he did in Thai boxing, he would jump on the bottom rope and then propel him going upwards and then knee his opponents in the head. And it was not in the rules that he couldn't do it. And he was doing this all the time.
Yeah.
So you see people start finding things. Now, all the submissions are there. All the knockout punches are there. It's for a person to find out what setup is a new setup that is not been seen by this person yet. That will result in a knockout or either in a submission. Because everybody knows a straight armbar. But if you can go to the straight armbar undetected, like you set it up with something else, you take the mind off the arm and suddenly you go back to the arm, that's gold. And that's the only thing that are people doing right now. And you see this. You see a guy suddenly pulling off a crazy submission. You go, whoa, that was crazy. And then everybody starts doing it. And then everybody finds the defense. And then it's a new technique comes out again.
It's like a virus. It just keeps adapting to the immune system.
That's it. George St. Pierre, what he did every fight, he would do something new.
Yeah.
He would suddenly have a jab and a spinning and a back kick to the body.
Yeah.
And then of course he fights like he normally fights. But you could tell that he worked 6 weeks or 2 months on that because he was nailing him all the time and the back kicks. You see, and the early boxer, what's his name, the Mexican, but De La Hoya.
De La Hoya, yeah.
You would come back every time. He was like a different kind of style.
Mm-hmm.
He would adapt, so that the opponent can never look footage and say, hey, wait a minute, we're going to have to do this in order to beat him.
I'm also reminded of Andy Hug when he would do spinning hook kicks to the leg.
To the leg?
Yeah, to the leg. And it would work, too. It was very effective.
It was so good. It was Mike Bernardo, right?
Yeah.
That guy, he's just such a nice guy. He passed away.
Yeah, and also you saw Machida do a snap kick to Randy Couture.
Man,
knocked his teeth out.
And jumping.
Yeah, and jumping. It was people say, "Oh, that's the kung fu duck swan kick." Like, no, that's a spinning. That's a jump snap kick.
The funny part was that Steven Seagal, he was saying all these things, you remember, and it was all fake. And later on, Anderson Silva said it was all a joke. He admitted it.
And people believed it too.
And I got so much heat when I said that it wasn't true, and but when I had that video from Anderson where he said it was all a joke, I put it on. But I got to give you this. So he knocks out, Anderson knocks him with a front kick, knocks Vitor Belfort out. And then the next show, he's there again. Now Machida's facing Randy Couture. Mm-hmm. And Steven Seagal says to Big John McCarthy, Big John told me, he says, oh, he's going to knock him out. And he goes, he's going to knock him out? Yeah, he's going to knock him out with the same kick that Anderson Silva did. And Big John is laughing. He goes, whatever, dude. And
it happened.
He really does it.
It happened.
I got to give him that.
Yeah, it was really beautiful. The jumping snap kick. But anyway, before you go, I would like for you to explain to the audience 2 things. One is the MM. I'm telling you, everybody needs to buy. People say, well, I want to lose weight. What should I do? I say, buy a heavy bag and get this.
It's real. Listen, I made that in a I had a tape.
Yeah.
And I recorded. You can actually hear my daughters in the background when they were a baby. One daughter I had. But I would use it as a warm-up. But every workout, when I put it in a tape deck and the fighters were there, professional fighters, they go, dude, make me a copy. This is so great. So once I stopped fighting, I go like, wait, why don't I make it in complete workouts? Right now, actually, I got a body action system here.
The body action.
That I sell also. And I work out the workouts on that. This workout, like you said, will never bore you.
Never.
You will never get bored. If you Google Bas Rutten MMA workout, go on Amazon, read the reviews. Try to find one bad review. You
won't find one.
People lost 60 pounds, 80 pounds. I have 18 new workouts coming out. I just finished the last 2. I'm going to have to record them now. And it's beginner, intermediate, and professional in 3-minute rounds and 5-minute rounds.
It's going to be like this. It's going to be like 4, 3, two.
Yeah. Defense.
I did this workout today. I did the boxing workout, which is one of my favorite. The Muay Thai one is my favorite because it has the kicks.
Yeah, but if you do the mixed martial arts one with the sprawls, did you ever do that?
Yes.
Oh, the defense.
Every time you say defense, I'm like,
killer. Yeah.
No. No. But what's killer for the boxing is when you say 2 and a 3.
Yeah.
2 and a 4, 3 and a 4.
Yeah.
And then the way you force the person to do all these weird body movements, like a double right strike, or you do a 4 and then a double right right hand, double right straight, and it makes you. But I noticed that now my punches, I feel powerful, and I'm twisting my body more in every strike, and it's really bettering my movement.
Yeah, now you got really good combination, like the 2 and the 4 and the 3. Now you got 2 and a right body left hook, and people go like, whoa. But that's 2, 1, 2, and then a straight to the body and a left hook. Or I say 2 and a right straight liver, 1, 2, and a right straight liver. And everything what you do with every punch, I always tell people, rotate that upper body. Look at Mike Tyson. When he threw like 3 left hooks, or what he liked to do was a spleen and then right uppercut. He knocked like 6, 7 guys out with that combination. Loaded up full, man. If you see this guy punch in slow motion, everything he does is rotating the upper body.
But when you look at Roman Decker's, he had this beautiful spinning, twisting of the body, twisting of the waist and of the legs. And his punches were. I mean, I never seen. I remember listening to you. You kept like Roman Decker. I'm like, who is this Roman Decker's guy? So I looked him up. He wasn't kidding.
Yeah, no. He's the white Mike Tyson, and even Tyson said that.
Yeah.
He was the first guy who knocked out Koban in Thailand. The guy who had over 200 fights, never been knocked out. And it's really funny if you look at the fight. He knocks him down at the end. Boom! He goes up, and then the whole place is quiet, and only the Dutch people jump in the ring with a flag, and they're the only people cheering. Yeah. Everybody is.
But like, the name of the workout is called the mixed. I want people to know the name. I tell people to buy this mixed martial arts workout. You can get it on Amazon for like $45 or something like that. Not that expensive. And then also, could you explain the O2 trainer?
Oh,
because I got this as well, and I'm on cap number 3 now.
Okay, good.
Which is difficult.
It's really hard, and it depends what you're doing. Like if you have a monotone run, you can probably go with a thinner, smaller hole. But if you do like intervals, like boxing, Thai boxing, 3, 4, that's already.
But tell people about the O2 trainer. I mean, it really does help you.
You know, this is the thing, and it's a true story, and I always tell this, I try to make it fast. I was a severe asthma patient, I already said that in the beginning. I would be a week in bed and not able to eat, not to do anything. And then what I realized, because I also did track and field, is that after every time I would be sick for a week, and I would resume my track and field, I would break my running times. And it blew my mind, and I thought, is it the medication I'm taking? And I couldn't figure out what it was until I went to the doctor, and I saw a poster on a drawing of a pair of lungs. And as a kid, and as an adult even, you think that the infection is a lung infection, it's in your lungs. It's not. It's the pipes that go to the lungs. Those are infected, and it's hard to pull air through. And I go, because they had like enlarged the pieces so you could see what happened in the lung. And I go, of course, I've been training, working out my lungs, because there was an infected area. I've been pulling air through that little tiny infected area for a week straight. So that when the infection is gone, my lungs are actually stronger now, and it's easier for them to move air in and out. So that's when I started experimenting with coins with holes in them and all these crazy things, which is very dangerous. I always tell people.
It's very dangerous. Yeah, you can choke.
But, and every party I would talk about my invention, the Ruttenizer. That was the original name.
The Ruttenizer, yeah.
And everybody always told me, he said, dude, you got to make that thing. You got to make that thing. And what happened was, Vanderlei Silva was doing the Ultimate Fighter, and he was training his guys with snorkels.
Yeah, I saw that.
Telephone went crazy.
Or gas masks. I see people with gas masks. I saw Kung Lee.
The snorkel for swimming. And then my phone went crazy. I had 6 guys calling me saying, dude, that thing that you're talking about, the Ruttenizer, you got to make it. Somebody's going to come up with it. So I started doing a patent search, and what do you know? There was no patent.
Yeah.
You know, everybody controls the air in and out. I don't. I only control the air intake, which allows you to completely exhale, so then you can use your entire respiratory system again to inhale. You know, and apparently that was the golden thing, because now they have one in England, an inspiratory trainer, also focuses only on air in, and you can only do breathing exercises with it. You cannot work out with it; it's too big for that. but it's covered by insurance for asthma patients. So it's proven. They have 45 tests on there that if you control air in and out, it won't work. Only air in. That's the way to go to.
And what are the benefits of it? You get more fit, you burn more calories, your heart rate goes up a lot faster.
Everything. It will teach you to breathe the correct way. If you go, like for instance, if you put screen number 8 on there, and I do screen number 12, I do breathing exercise. You can train with that, but you can do breathing exercise. I do 3 sets of 12. And once you start breathing, a lot of people breathe with the shoulders.
Yeah, that's true.
If you do this with the auto trainer, you can't get the air in. You really have to use your diaphragm and push that forward. So you automatically, it teaches you to breathe the correct way. And that makes a big difference. I had a guy from SWAT told me that he trained with it the day before. The next day he was running, and he says, I'm not kidding, my running went better. And he goes, and I understand now, this is stupid what I'm saying. It makes no sense. He says, but then I realized it forced me to breathe the correct way. And I still was breathing the same way as I did the day before without the auto trainer, and that's why it was easier.
Very good. And I encourage everyone, go get the O2 trainer. Go get it on the internet, on Amazon you can buy it. And then also the Bas Rutten's Mixed Martial Arts workout. Everyone needs to get. If you get the O2, people complicate losing weight. Just get a bag, O2 trainer, and the CD, the MMA workout. You're going to see results.
So many people wrote me emails. You have no clue how many people love me because they lost 60 pounds, 80 pounds. Yeah. I mean, it's insane. It's all about with the workout.
Absolutely.
It's, I love it myself. I do it myself as well. And you can switch it because after we finish your combination with the left hand, I ask you to give a right kick or a right knee. Well, you can switch that, of course, as well. You can do it left or right. You can make it every time a little different. Like 1, 2, 3, 4. The numbers start the 1 always to the body. You can do one workout like that. 1, 2, 3, 4. See, so little tweaks. But now the new combinations. I have over 175 combinations, so it's going to be crazy. That's a whole different ball game.
Well, when your new workout CD comes out, I'll definitely buy that.
I'll get you one. It's and what I tell the people is you have to start with beginner. If you buy the pro,
you'll die.
Yeah,
you're gonna drop.
Combination is going to be 2 and a liver shot, right straight, left hook, left. I mean, it's going to be so out of control.
Yeah.
But I built up to it. Every time I do one punch more. So.
Yeah, we'll have you come on again to advertise the new CD. We'd love to have you back. Most definitely, Bas Rutten. Thank you for coming on the show with us, and enjoy your croquettes.
Yeah, I will do that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
All right. Godspeed.
Godspeed and party on.
Yes, sir. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.